wrestling fans. It is Saturday, November 18th, 2023. You know what that means. Time to talk about another huge pro wrestling weekend coming up tonight. I am Lance Brock here for this Saturday morning episode of GMWF. But first of all, I just want to apologize for last night. Unfortunately, got a little too tired last night after the marathon of pro wrestling with WWE Friday Night SmackDown on a special Friday night episode, AEW Saturday Collision, and AEW Rampage. Sorry about the voice. Once again, wasn't able to pause the recording in time. I know, unfortunately, I do make that mistake quite a bit. I'm sure everyone who listens to the podcast probably notices that sometimes the episodes do get outnumbered, kind of a little backwards. But this is episode 536 of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. And without any further ado, let's get into tonight's AEW Full Gear pay-per-view. And Full Gear will be live in Los Angeles, California at the fabulous Kia Forum. And as of late, the lineup AEW has been doing as far as commentators go is they've been switching them up during the night. For some matches, they may have Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, Kevin Kelly, Jim Ross out there. But recently I have read that Jim Ross will most likely be taking quite a bit of time off due to the treatment of his skin cancer. So I don't really expect to see Jim Ross on Full Gear tonight, but probably will be the ones I just mentioned: Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, Taz. Wouldn't be surprised to see Kevin Kelly and Excalibur on there as well for a few matches anyway. Last night on Collision, it was made official that on 0 Hour tonight, one half of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions and the AEW World Tag Team Champions will be defending those titles, teaming with Samoa Joe. And I'd say my only problem with this match as of right now, it just kind of makes it seem too obvious what the finish is going to be. I could be wrong. Maybe they'll go another way, but I see it happening tonight where Joe and MJF get along great during the tag match during 0 Hour. And then when the main Full Gear card starts, that's when the angle happens and Samoa Joe is revealed as the devil. Now, who knows? I could be wrong. I'm sure I have definitely been wrong here on the podcast many times. So I'm going to be surprised if I am, but just for a prediction, that's the one that I'm going to have to go with for tonight's Full Gear card. And another match that was just added last night on the 0 Hour, or I believe it's going to be on the 0 Hour, representing the Blackpool Combat Club, the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, Claudio Castagnoli taking on Honoring the House of Black, Buddy Matthews. And the AEW Women's Championship is on the line as well tonight. Hikaru Shida taking on Timeless Toni Storm with her butler Luther. I think this is going to be an awesome match tonight. I see all three of them as definitely possible big stars in the company, especially Sky Blue and Julia Hart and Chris Statlander, or Hikaru Shida, I should say. And I'd say this one, if I was booking it, which I definitely have never been a pro wrestling booker before, or Booker of the Year like Tony Khan has, but I would say I would definitely push either Sky Blue or Julia Hart in this one. Give them the title, the TBS Championship, and make them the face of the AEW Women's Division. That's just me, though. Like I said, I could be wrong. I am sure I have definitely been wrong before, but if Tony Khan is listening to 360 Wrestling Fanatic right now, which I'm sure he isn't, but definitely get behind Sky Blue, get behind Julia Hart, make them the faces of the women's division in AEW. And we are going to have which I think will probably be the main event tonight, a trios match. We have the Icon Sting, the Rated R Superstar Adam Copeland, and Darby Allin taking on Honoring the House of Black, the Patriarchy with the Patriarch, Christian Cage leading the way with Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne. I'm sure this will be a fun trios match. I have definitely been enjoying Christian's heel work on the mic as of late. In the build for this one, I think this is a great heel gimmick for Christian Cage. Maybe they could even dust off an old heel gimmick they had for Barry Windham and call him the Widowmaker like they did back in the day. Definitely not one of Barry Windham's most successful gimmicks, but it would probably work with this storyline. And the AEW International Championship is also on the line. One of my favorites, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy, will be defending against Lunatic Fringe Jon Moxley, also representing the Blackpool Combat Club. And once again, I'm sure I definitely sound like a broken record when I always talk about AEW pay-per-views here on 360 Wrestling Fanatic, but definitely match recommendation of the night, Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley. You have OC as the first ever AEW International Champion, had a long, successful reign, and then at World's End, was it, where Jon Moxley ended that reign of Orange Cassidy as he was fighting all these matches injured, already in bad shape going into the matches. So it seems like that's what they are doing with anybody who holds the AEW International Championship. The Texas Death Match is next. This one definitely personal, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Once again, could be match of the night, but I think with the build they didn't really treat it as serious as they should have. On Dynamite just a couple weeks ago, you had Swerve Strickland do the home invasion thing in Hangman Page's house, go in there, look in his baby's crib and everything. I just feel that the feud for this match wasn't really as treated as serious as it should have been. And of course, Swerve Strickland will have Prince Nana in his corner, and luckily he only does the dance with Swerve Strickland because it wouldn't really go good with the House of Black theme song. So hopefully we'll get to see that tonight. Another trios match tonight. And if the Golden Jets, Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, defeat the Young Bucks tonight, they will get the guaranteed title shot that the Young Bucks have at the AEW World Tag Team Championships. This one, definitely interesting. As far as a prediction goes, I'd have to say Jericho and Omega, they've had a great run as a tag team. And I'd say, not that I really want them to break up, but I'd say right now that would probably be a good time to separate these two. I feel that they have had a long enough run as a tag team here in All Elite Wrestling. And I'd say if you are going to break them up as a tag team, break up the Elite now would probably be the time to pull the trigger on that one and go ahead and do it. Now, if they do, I don't know what's going to happen to BTE, being the Elite on YouTube. But, sorry about that again. But I'm sure they'll figure something out. And now the AEW TBS Championship is on the line. We have Chris Statlander defending against Julia Hart and Sky Blue in a three-way match. I already talked about this match a little bit ago. Like I said, I definitely don't think he is. But if Tony Khan is listening to 360 Wrestling Fanatic right now, or Good Morning Wrestling fans, sorry, I get confused with what podcast I'm doing, definitely push Sky Blue or Julia Hart, put the title on one of them, and make them the two faces of the AEW women's division. I'm a big fan of both of them. I would say the only problem is that the characters that both of them are doing are kind of similar. So, like on Post Wrestling's Collision Course podcast, I heard John Cena, he kind of had a little mistake there telling the two apart, and I see that. And in the main event on 0 Hour, 4-way tag team match, which this was changed last night on Collision, and my only problem with it is I didn't think that it really needed to be changed to a ladder match, but it is now AEW World Tag Team Championship ladder match. Absolute Ricky Starks and Big Bill taking on La Faccione and Canable, Rush and Jericho with Jose the assistant, FTR, now Dax the Axe, he's being called now, and Cash Wheeler taking on Honoring the House of Black, the Kings of the Black Throne, Malachi Black and Brody King. I think this will be a great match. Once again, match recommendation of the night, I'm sure, but I just feel that it didn't really need the ladder match stipulation added to it. I think this was going to be a great match anyway, but Tony Khan has been teasing some debuts as of late, and we saw Ronda Rousey. I know I normally don't talk about spoilers, but Ronda Rousey did make her debut at the Ring of Honor TV tapings, teaming with Marina Shafir and Billy Starks. like I said, I normally don't talk about spoilers, but when something big like this happens, then I break my rule for one night only. And now it is time for the main event. I know I went out of order a little bit, but we have the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships on the line on 0 Hour. MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, now teaming with Samoa Joe, and will take on the Guns, representing Bullet Club Gold on 0 Hour. And once again, I feel that this is going to be a great match, amazing match, could be match of the night. But I just feel that it was a little too soon, not really enough build for it. And once again, I don't think the devil is going to be revealed tonight. When do I think it's going to happen? Just taking a guess, I'd say at the latest, probably at the World's End pay-per-view. But once again, I could be wrong. And I am here at work now, so unfortunately, I have to wrap it up. And tonight, Full Gear is live on Bleacher Report, The Zone internationally, Fight TV internationally, such movie theaters here in the U.S. So there's no excuse to be missing Full Gear tonight, live on pay-per-view. And I do plan on being live for a special episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. So stay tuned. I'm not sure what time it's going to be, but sometime after the pay-per-view tonight. I usually wait for the Tony Khan Media Scrum press conference, and if you are familiar with AEW pay-per-views, you do know that they tend to go long, pretty late into late Saturday, early Sunday morning. So I will be here, so just pay attention to X at 360 Wrestling Pod. You get notified right away when there's a new episode. Right away, once it's recorded, boom, it's live on X at 360 Wrestling Pod. So if you can follow that, and also if you can go listen to the newest episode of 360 Anything Goes, I talk about Elf, one of my favorite Christmas movies, and I really have to go now. So until tomorrow morning, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.